Monday Night Lights, Monday Night Lights, Monday Night Lights. Let's talk about what's been going on at Viking Ice Arena. You've never seen a league so exciting and tough and fast. It simply must be discussed on an equally exciting and tough podcast. What's it called? Monday Night Lights. Yeah. Monday Night Lights. Tigers, the Nordiques, the Whalers, the Seals, the Americans, the North Stars. Who's gonna stall? Who will go far and earn the keg? Who's gonna earn the keg? We'll find out in time. Give us a holler on the whoop line.
Good morning. Happy, what is today? Wednesday? Power Rankings times. Checking in at number 1, we have the Nordiques, the no respect chip on their shoulder Nordiques. Good. They were on a bye this week, but lots of Nordiques at the rink. I saw Slick Rick was subbing, Matt Lapoudre subbing. Paul Antioch back from his European vacation. I think he just showed up to be a good guy. I don't think he was subbing, but perhaps. Cone subbing. Dave P subbing. Sukas may have been there. I can't remember. Coach B was there. Panny was there. And then Pangrazi there subbing. So I think Wright and Jim Ellis were the only two that I didn't see. But that's pretty impressive turnout for the Nordiques. There were some Little Caesars in the booth. I thought that they had brought that. That would have been super impressive. I think the Whalers, this might have been when Dylan was a goalie, and the Seals. And then the Seal, he brought the pizza in the booth. But it's a really nice bye week tradition. But good job from the Deeks for showing up on their bye week. Always big kudos to help out in the box. Just get a night out with the guys, etc. That's a blast from the past. For those of you that don't know, most of you do, but Dylan entered this league as a goalie for the Seals, 2-time regular season Vezina winner, 2-time postseason choker. So Dylan would get very nervous in the playoffs as a goalie and get lit up like a Christmas tree. He had took the backstop the Seals and the Whalers to first place outings, but could not win a keg, transferred to player, and here we go. But that's the Dylan backstory. And number 1, the Nordiques. All right, checking in at number 2, we have the Whalers. 4-2 winners over the Americans. I was reffing on the other sheet, so did not get to watch this game, but it sounds like pretty standard. Drake had a couple goals. Sounds like Leaping Larrabee. There's an empty netter at the end of the game. Maki, as everyone knows by now, has a bet to the over-under was set at, I believe, 3.5 goals, or maybe 4.5. But whatever the bet was set at, he needs one more goal to win money for Drake. And rumor has it that he had a marquee chance at an empty netter, but Larrabee stole the glory. And thank you, Larrabee, for doing that. So me and Dougie still have a chance with our bet there. But they had Pangrazi subbing for them, so sounds like it was a relatively easy win for the Whalers, and Drake continues to score at a record-setting clip. I don't know. I'm not sure if he's already broken the record for most goals in a season or if he's got his sights set on that. I'm not sure, but it seems like it. I know Matt Taylor scored a lot of goals, but I don't think his attendance was ever as good. And I just don't remember him scoring this many goals. So maybe Proctor year 1, but it'll be interesting to see if Drake can get the record. But Whalers, number 2, chipping away, trying to close in on the first round bye, and then ultimately the President's Trophy. But strong grip on the number 2 spot for the Whalers. Checking in at number 3, we have the Maroons. There's clearly a top 3 in this league right now. The Maroons, Whalers, and Nordiques. Then there's a big drop-off after that. So Maroons with a pretty easy win over the Seals. The flow of the game was it was relatively even, but kind of a tale of two seasons, right? The Seals had a few chances, maybe even some pressure, but they can't really convert it into solid scoring chances. Claus played well, but the Maroons definitely, when they got their chances, they would finish. Wood opened the scoring with a nice snipe. Sugar had a nice snipe. Judge had kind of a back-breaking coast-to-coast third goal and fourth goal. So the game was, once the Maroons got two, the Seals kind of lacked that explosive scoring, to make a comeback. There was a point in the game where it was 3-1. Was it Sean? I think Shawnee came in on a breakaway and scored. So the Maroons had pretty much controlled play all night. It was 3-1, and Rattler found himself on a breakaway with about 2 minutes left. And had Rattler been able to score, it would have been 3-2, stop clock situation, ass cheeks, little pucker. It could have been close, but Claus shut the door on that breakaway, and then Judge went coast to coast to add the fourth goal, and then that was kind of 4-1, night Jim Kite, game over. But Maroons obviously are contenders. Claus is playing wonderful. You got the sugar bin combo with Hale going to the front of the net. And then that second line, Dougie, got to give a little shout out to Dougie. He doesn't really deserve it because he doesn't participate on Slack anymore, might not even be listening, but they had Neville subbing in for Crusoe. Neville could play D, gave Dougie the opportunity to play center, and I thought he was pretty effective. He had a nice assist on Woodsy's goal. He might have had another assist on Sugar's goal if he got caught out there. I can't remember, but Dougie definitely had a nice game. Got the chance to play center, which I know he enjoys doing that every once in a while. So, but that second line of, Dougie, Hartkopp, and Woodsy, definitely effective. So nothing new here. Maroons are contenders. They check in at number 3 this week. Real kind of drama will be whether, one of these teams is going to not get the bye. They'll be big favorites in the 3-6 matchup, whoever they play. But you got these 3 teams fighting it out for a bye week. Checking in at number 4, we have our North Stars. They were the other winners on the night. So, like I said, there's a pretty significant drop-off after this top 3. North Stars will get a chance to show that they're in the mix by playing the Whalers next week. The Whalers have just wiped the floor with us in our 2 previous matchups, so who knows. But North Stars are now 1-1 after the trade. The flow of the games have been better. I had Dave P. tell us that we looked really slow out there, which I could understand that. We don't have a ton of burners outside of Serta, maybe Brett a little bit. But, having Trent out there, we might not be flying up and down the ice, but Trent can possess the puck. So the Trent, Troy, Venandi line, we had a lot of zone time, a lot of possession. Only scored 1 goal, which was a little disappointing. But, when the puck's on their end, they can't score on your end. So that's good. And then it was nice to see Serta and Brett connect. Serta had 2 goals on the night. Brett had 1. Hopefully developing some chemistry there. Little shout out to Sikorsky and Krunk for subbing. On defense really helped us out. Old man Brawny had his best game of the season. So it was a good week for the North Stars. They move up to number 4. Got a shout out to Claus, played goalie for us as well. Anyways, got a little distracted there with the phone at work, but North Stars number 4, Whalers next week. We'll see what we can do. Checking in at number 5, we have the Americans. Again, didn't get to watch this game, but sounds like it was 4-2. Sounds like the Americans' 2 goals were scored by Slick Rick, subbing for Proctor. There may have been a controversial 3rd goal called off due to an officiating error. That's possible, but I heard Johnny G stood on his head, made lots of saves, which sounds predictable. If Slick Rick really did score both of their goals plus a waved off 3rd, that just kind of fits my issues with the Americans all season, which is they just don't really, have much besides Proctor. They got Proctor and then Rubel coast to coast, and that's about it as much as offense goes. Redkowski was out. He's one of their secondary scorers. I think they had Eric Lapoudre in, so I don't know what that made their lineups look like, who they moved up to forward, but, the Americans are just middle of the pack type team. of course, in a one and done scenario, they're going to be a tough out due to their goaltending and Proctor, but just top to bottom, they just seem to be off all year. Didn't make any moves at the deadline. I know Krunk was trying, and I don't know exactly what offers he had, so you don't want to just trade to trade and get fleeced, but just seems like they needed a shakeup. So I think they're kind of sitting here in purgatory in that kind of 4 to 6 range, but that's kind of what the Americans are. I don't think they're going to make a run to get a bye. They should make the playoffs, so then it really just comes down to, can Proctor get hot and put them on their back for the playoffs and find another gear? We shall see. But Americans, number 5. At number 6, I put the Seals. Could obviously be the Tigers as well. There's really, not to be candid, not a lot of separation between the 4 spot and the 7 spot. But I put the Seals at number 6 because there were moments there. They definitely, I think they were missing McShannock. They brought in, who did they bring in for McShannock? It kind of affected their lineup a little bit. They brought in a forward for God, who do they bring in for McShannock? They brought in Cone. So they brought in Cone. They put Cone up at forward. They put Cousin Antioch back at defense. I think that kind of ruined the chemistry that Antioch had been having with Shawnee up at forward. But again, they had their moments there. The Q, Sips and Rattler and Q did their thing a little bit, but couldn't really get it going. So it definitely wasn't a great night for the Seals. Felt a little flat, if I'm being honest, for a team that's, I know we're coming off the holidays, but for a team that was, fighting for their playoff lives, and it's Whoop and the Rise and the this and the that, just didn't really have a sense of urgency out there. I don't know. Maybe it's just the time slot on the big sheet. I know our game can feel slow. Then Olympic is just a lot of ice, so I don't know. I feel like we look slower. NHL feels faster. But anyways, they're just, the Seals are the Seals. They're getting in. They're gonna bye this next week, so they really need to, make up some hay here in the end stretch. They started with the Whalers and the Maroons, not an easy stretch, right? So they're set up to pick up their points at the end, but they got to get a win here to try to reel either the Tigers or the North Stars in to make the last couple weeks interesting. So that's it for the Seals. Shawnee got their 1 goal. Not a lot of bright spots out there, but they're checking in at number 6. And checking in at dead last, we have the Tigers at number 7. I don't know. Like I said, could be the Seals. Nothing horrifically bad. They did make the trade. I do, Pellet and Peso seem to be looking pretty good with Pete. They didn't have a great game this week. I heard they had a better game last week. But I think that line has potential. Bauer did what he did at D. I thought he played I played against him a decent amount of time. He was aggressive as usual, playing the body a little bit. I don't remember any huge glitches in his game. So the trade guys did good, and Peso scored their only goal. It was a nice roof shot. So, the trade, I'm not saying it hasn't seemed to hurt him, but the bigger thing is that, which causes them being stagnant, is the Fem Skillman line. Fem Skillman and Ryan Allen or whoever they had, they just couldn't get a lot going. Skillman, who I love and appreciate, scored a hat trick in the Game 3 of the Stanley Keg Finals for the North Stars. He just, I don't know if it's this is from a chubby guy. I know a couple years ago, Skillman, or even last year, was lifting weights and lean and mean and a real force out there. I don't know if that's the case or not the case, but he's kind of he's turned into just kind of a cherry picker out there. A lot of looping and cherry picking, looking for that stretch pass. But it's when he does get that stretch pass, it's not like he's a Proctor going in on a breakaway. So I think that Skillman needs to look inward, play a more full, complete game. Maybe put himself at center, put Fem out on the wing, do something. But Skillman has more to offer. He's too good of a player to do just like a cherry picking. I remember Weaver's reinvented himself as a defenseman now. for the Whalers very well, but Weaver would kind of just be this floating guy out there. Then if you get the puck to him, he doesn't really have the speed to get a breakaway. So Skillman as a fourth round pick is just too good for that. So for this team to get better, they need more out of Skillman, and they need Pete to get going. I mean, I can say this now because I haven't played Pete, but he was going to be motivated because he got left off the All-Star team and this and that, but he just doesn't seem to be having that full-out motor. Again, I say this as a chubby guy who's been slow as fuck myself this year, so this is a do as I say, not as I do type situation, not trying to be mean to anybody, but they just didn't seem to have this intensity that you expect out of the Tigers. So there was a moment when they got down in that game where they put, Larrabee was subbing for Brandt. That's obviously threw them off a little bit. I think Brandt is probably a better defenseman than Larrabee, and they had Larrabee playing defense, and he did fine back there. But at the end of the game, when they needed offense, they moved Larrabee up, and they were definitely they were really starting to smother us a little bit there. That obviously left their back end a little more vulnerable when they did that. But Larrabee is definitely more effective as a forward than as a defenseman. But we shall see. Tigers next week. Can't remember who they play. I think do they play the Americans? That would be interesting. But we shall see. But Tigers checking in at number 7.